Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Women's Wrestling Talk. This is the official AEW All Out recap discussion. We're going to talk about it all because we had 3 huge debuts on Sunday night. We had so much wrestling action. We had CM Punk wrestle for the first time in 7 years or so?
Yeah.
And we had so much jam-packed action. We're going to try to break down our favorite moments. We're not going to cover it all, but we're going to cover some of our favorite moments. And so I'm Emily May Heller. I am not alone, though. I have some amazing hosts. I have Stephanie Hardy from the Hardy Wrestling Podcast with me. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm really happy to be here to be covering AEW and everything that happened that crazy Sunday night, right? So I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, we are still recovering from a crazy weekend. I also have Santana here with me. How are you, Santana?
I'm great. AEW was wild this weekend. I had to watch it again. Literally, I had to.
Right. So it actually is on my list to watch again because I have to say I was there in person. If you all didn't know, I'm sure you saw on all of my social media. If you haven't, it was off the charts, on fire. Right. I want to relive it again. I am going to go back and watch it because I have to go see it up close. Right. Seeing it in the arena is totally different than watching it on TV. So I want to get everyone's thoughts overall. Let's start with Stephanie. What did you think about Sunday's pay-per-view?
I felt that it was pretty good, for the most part. Some of the action was really great. And there was a whole lot of surprising moments. And I felt like, it was, pretty, like I would give it like maybe like an 8. And then as soon as all the surprises happened, it went towards like a 10 and then an 11. And it was just like, whoa. I was shook after the end. I was just shook and I just didn't know what to do afterward for like the next 15 minutes. I was like, what do I do now? Like, help.
Oh my God, right? So like, can you imagine seeing it? I was sitting in the arena and like every match was building to the next moment and it just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Santana, what was your initial thought? Because you said you watched it top to bottom. You were so enthralled with it all. What'd you think of it?
For me, I was like, okay, I think this is like the second AEW pay-per-view I watched. And I was like, okay, Double or Nothing was pretty cool. But All Out, it definitely did what it did. It went all out from beginning to end. We ain't gonna get into the surprises just yet because my birthday twin came out. You know what I'm saying? So I got to represent for the cancers. So, but other than that, it was absolutely amazing.
Oh, I'm so glad to hear that. I guess I'll ask later who your birthday twin is. I don't think you shared that with me yet. So you can share it with me. You can share it with us later. So before we get into some of the matches that we all collectively liked at those moments that we enjoyed, without giving too much away, we're going to dive into it. What was the moment for you, Stephanie, that just made this the pay-per-view to watch?
Well, firstly, I would say the best moment was the women's casino battle royale. Because that was something I was definitely looking forward to the most. Seeing as the AEW has definitely a lot to prove in terms of their women's division, and they already had their one women's championship match. But the Battle Royale intrigued me the most because a lot of the people that were in it I had seen previously at NWA. So I was just really ready to see a lot of those women, sort of tear it up. And that was really cool. So that was, a pretty stellar moment for me.
Yeah, that was really great. I love being, we saw some NWA participants in the Battle Royale. I saw some Mission Pro ladies cross over into that world as well. So it was really great to see some familiar faces that aren't always on AEW screens. Santana, what did you? What was like your moment that was like, yeah, this is the pay-per-view? Like you said, what was that one moment that put it over to the top?
For me, I did like the women's casino battle royal because it was a way for them to kind of showcase their women's division that we don't normally see on Dynamite or Rampage or Dark Elevation. So to have all these women in this battle royal, like killing it, being their authentic selves and just doing amazing things, that was great. But I'm gonna have to give it definitely to Chris Statlander and Britt Baker. They definitely put on a match. It was so good from the beginning of it to the end. Like, I really thought that Chris was going to win it, but it is what it is. And I got to see Orange Cassidy show some personality for once. So that really made me cackle at him for yelling at Chris, like, Chris, get up, because he all laid back and got his little shades on or whatever. But it was a really, really good match.
Yeah, he did get kind of bucked, didn't he?
He did. I was like, okay.
Like, you're switching up a bit. Well, that's what it's all about. Like, everyone builds to a big pay-per-view, right? You not only you're training differently, you're thinking about, okay, this is on a huge stage. The stakes are so much higher, and so you have to bring everything you've got, and whether that's surprising people about what you're wearing, how you're looking, what moves you're doing in the ring, having people debut for the first time, we're like, hey, I thought you were over there. That's what it's all about, right? You're changing the game, right? And we talked a lot. So at the press scrum afterwards, there was talk a lot about how this one pay-per-view changed the landscape of professional wrestling from now until a few years from now. That it changed the game, and that it is like AEW proved that they're now a competitor, and that there's something to be worried there for some of those larger companies that had some of those talent. So it looks like, and everyone in the chat, please let us know what your favorite moment was. Let us know what you think of these matches. And again, we're here to just have some fun, talk about the moments that brought us some joy on Sunday. So there's nothing wrong with that. Let's see. So CM Punk's return after 7 years, that was a big deal. I saw lots of CM Punk shirts on Sunday.
Oh, definitely. You already know they're in the shot. So of course you're gonna see it.
There was a lot. Awesome. So let's get into some of these matches. Let's break it down a bit. So let's talk about we had the AEW TNT. We had a lot of championship matches, so we're gonna mostly talk about those big ones. We had the AEW TNT Championship, Miro versus Eddie Kingston, and Miro defeated Eddie Kingston via a pinfall to retain the title. And so, a few questions for you guys. Did you think that Eddie Kingston was going to take this championship at this point?
No.
We'll start with Santana.
No, absolutely not. I don't care how many jerseys he go purchase and what fitted caps he chooses to put on for every week. But to me, honestly, I don't feel like Eddie Kingston has that charisma to be a champion. He's gonna have to do a little bit more for me to think that he's believable to be a champion at this time. Not right now.
Okay, so it was a really hard-hitting match, though. I feel like Eddie Kingston brought some really great moves, against Miro. And so, Stephanie, what did you think? Because it definitely showed Eddie Kingston, I think, does have championship material, but maybe not at this point in his AEW journey. But what do you think, Steph?
Well, I do agree with Santana in the sense that maybe right now isn't the time for him. But there were like a couple of moments where I did think that he was going to win, though, because even though it felt like for most of the match, Miro did have the advantage, from what I can remember, but he just kept trying to, fire back and, fight back. And there was a couple times where I thought maybe he could, but it just wasn't his time yet. But I think he does ultimately have a little bit he has more charisma than, than it seems like he would initially have, just looking at him.
Mm-hmm.
But, one day he'll be champion, but it just wasn't his night that night.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was a great showing. I mean, Kingston really brought a lot of the moves, like, focused on Mira's neck, really trying to, like, get that to a point where he could be damaged and potentially not compete. And so, but Miro had a size advantage and really focused, like, had some huge drop kicks and things like that I think really kind of took Kingston out eventually. But yeah, there was definitely some hard fighting in that match. Awesome. So any other thoughts on that match? No? Well, let me know in the chat too. We want to know your thoughts on that match as well.
Well, I will say one thing though that's not really necessarily about the match per se, because Santana did mention, his jerseys. I really liked Eddie Kingston's DMX jersey. I really appreciated seeing that a couple nights ago, and I was just like, "Aw," So I mean, I love that he expresses so much of what he had been exposed to in his life and his culture and everything. So I appreciated that. So yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, so we're not trying to hate the Wrestling Classic. We're not trying to hate on Eddie Kingston at all. We love everyone, but sometimes we have our favorite matches and stuff like that. But no hate here. I had to clear that up a bit. Okay, are you ready for your next match?
I'm ready.
Yeah.
All right. So we're going to talk about the Jon Maxley versus Satoshi Kojima match. And so, like Jon Maxley, right? But I have to say, seeing this live, seeing him come out, his entrance is always very electric. But seeing it with this many people singing along, people dancing, you had just everyone full on out, right? So I just have to say he definitely has one of the top entrances. Just gonna say that. So this was I thought this was like a really, really like outstanding match. Again, it was a hard hitting match. Had some surprises near the end, right? Stephanie, what did you think of this match overall?
This was a match that I only saw bits and pieces of because I had some internet issues. So the surprise at the end was really cool. So that's really all that I would say about that. But I can't really contribute as much because I was having internet issues and it was cutting out.
Yeah, no worries. So the surprise that they're all talking about is Minoru Suzuki, showing up and confronting Moxley. And so this is a big deal. Like, New Japan Wrestling is a really big deal. They have a lot of big feuds going on. Jon Moxley is a big part of that. And so I love seeing like this crossover confrontation. Santana, what did you think about this?
I was like, why they brought this crazy man? Like, do you not know who he is and what he has done? What is going on? I was like, who? Okay, y'all, this man, y'all know Jon Moxley. He done death matches and all this, and right now he's about to do another one on Wednesday because that's about to happen.
Yes,
because this man, I was just like speechless. I was like, okay, so this is like his next level. Like, he done already been through all of this, so now he got to beat this guy. And I already know that match is going to be extremely interesting in the outcome.
Yeah, definitely. No, I think we have a lot more to watch. And I think everyone should watch New Japan Wrestling as well, because you never know what's on there. Wow, there's some upcoming shows in Dallas, I believe, in a few weeks. So yeah, check it out because the story and the fighting, it's all going to continue. But let's get to this next match, which was the AEW Women's Championship. Of course, it has the champ, Dr. Brit Baker, DMD, versus Chris Statlander. Yeah, there you go. Santana's got it.
There you go, Stephanie.
So again, let's just like recap this match real quick. Like Statlander started, like she tried to use her strength advantage in the beginning. She was like avoiding all of these moves that Britt Baker was trying to place on her. I thought this was Chris Statlander's one of her best matches I've seen her do, as well as Britt Baker. But again, Baker hit her with the Pittsburgh Sunrise, right? Gave maybe a foreshadowing of some things in her match, something that happened later down in the night. So let's talk about this. Santana, what did you think of this match? Because I thought it was pretty cool.
I honestly thought, like I said, I thought the match was really, really good. Like, I never jumped on Britt Baker like that. I wanted to see her wrestle in the ring, and watching that match, it proved that she's a really, really great wrestler. And I thought, honestly, Chris is a great competitor. She did an amazing job, but I knew for a fact that that title wasn't coming off of Britt Baker. Britt is too hot right now. They're not gonna let her lose that title just yet. It has to be somebody who's a little bit bigger than her to have that title taken off of her.
Yeah. So I have to say that when I was in the arena on Sunday, it was pretty like Britt Baker is very hot with the audience. They really get like when she comes out and when she's wrestling. But what's interesting is part of that match was a very mixed reaction. And I don't know if you all could see it from at home, but people weren't sure. I wasn't sure if people were booing or if they were cheering. And it was interesting reaction to what she was doing. And then again, that's just from being in the room, right?
Right.
Stephanie, what did you think of this match?
I thought this match was a great stellar representation of what women's wrestling in AEW can be. I was definitely impressed with Britt Baker. I think this was my second match that I have seen of her, because the first one I saw her in, that I saw all the way through, was her versus Thunder Rosa in that blood match. I can't really remember the name of that match right now. But that was, a pretty good match as well. So to see her fight in this match where it's just, her and an opponent without any other stipulation, it was really good. And just seeing her, stand and rise as a champion has just been great too. But Chris, shout out to her because she was actually on our show.
She was, yeah.
Last week. I was really impressed with her showing as well, because I've heard mixed reactions about her as a wrestler, but just seeing her perform and actually stand up to Britt's ability and everything was really good. So I was definitely impressed by both of them. I was proud of both of them.
Yeah, definitely. I think it was really a great showcase for both of them. And she does rock as a champion. She does. She's really she owns it. And you got to give it to her that she really takes ownership of it. And she's been rocking it.
She definitely has.
Yeah. Do you have any other thoughts on this match, ladies?
I really thought Chris would have probably won, because she was not. Britt had to come out the bag at the end to beat Chris. Like that.
Interesting. You thought she would win tonight?
Maybe so. You just really never know.
That's true.
You just really never know how they would want to do it. They could have taken it off Britt and be like, we're gonna give it to Chris and see how the crowd reacts to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean that's what's so exciting is we did have some new champions during this pay-per-view kind of be crowned, and so you're right. Like anything can happen. Statlander's time will come, but it's all about DMD right now.
Oh, right.
So, speaking of DMD, I'm gonna skip ahead, you guys, because I feel like we need to continue to talk about the women's division, and I'm gonna jump to the Casino Battle Royale because that's going to go into who's gonna be the number one contender for the AEW Women's Championship, and so we got to talk about this. So this match came after the the AEW Tag Team Championship match. It was the cage match. So right, yeah, that order. So you had, and that was an incredible match, which we can go over a little bit later. But so you have 21 competitors, right? Did I get that number right?
Yeah,
21 competitors. And they have to narrow it down, right, to that number one contender. And so we had. Do you guys want me to name off the competitors? Do you remember?
I remember.
Yeah. Do you guys have? Let's talk about this. Do you guys have favorites that you? So I mean, obviously, we had the big debut of Ruby Soho, which everyone was talking about, and what an entrance, right?
Right.
It was so emotional. It was badass entrance, I have to say. So I know everyone was super happy to see her, but Stephanie, I'll start with you. Who were you really excited to see come out? I mean, we knew the entrance, we knew the participants, but when you saw them and you saw them do their thing, who were you excited about?
I was excited about Jade Cargill. I was definitely, I was excited about Jade, and I was also excited about Thunder Rosa. I was definitely excited about Thunder Rosa because I thought for sure, if anyone was going to go all the way, it could be her or maybe Jade. And I was definitely excited to see Kiera Hogan as well. So those were kind of like my top three.
Awesome. What about you, Santana?
Jade, of course. I love that woman. I love that woman. Hey, Jade, if you ever see this, hey, what's up? I love that woman so much.
I have to say
everything. Like when she comes to the room, you just have to look at her. You cannot look away. You just can't. I don't. Lord bless us. Oh, I need to know what her diet is so I can get what she got going on, because that girl is everything. Her staff is everything. Yeah.
I have to say, she blew me away in person. Like, I was like, holy moly, how are you human? Right. Like, you are so gorgeous. I know it's not about that, but I was like, I was totally blown away. Yeah. But so I love all your choices. Anyone else, Santana?
I like to see Big Swole. I feel like Big Swole, she's really, really good. And who else? Kiera Hogan, Red Velvet a little bit. She's kind of growing on me. I just want her to get a little bit better. A lot of them can get a little bit better. But just those three for right now. Well, those four for right now. I can't count. I mean, I was, I don't know. I had so many people that I was so excited to see. Thunder Rosa, of course. Red Velvet, I was excited to see in there. Sky Blue. So I know Sky Blue is an underdog, and I got to give her a shout out because I've seen her wrestle at Mission Pro Wrestling. I've seen her up close and personal. She's the sweetest person. And for her to, because Tony Khan announced on Dynamite, right? Dynamite before the weekend that she would be be a participant in it. And I feel like it's such an amazing thing to give someone who's been in it for a few years but still somewhat new a chance to do something like that. And her entrance, like, everyone was so supportive and everyone loved it. So I have to give her a little shout out. Kylan King is also another Mission Pro lady. I'm giving her a shout out. I was happy to see her in there. I mean, I was also excited to just, everyone.
Yeah,
that's my thing. It's always, how do you narrow it down, right?
Isn't Sky from Chicago as well?
She is.
Okay, yeah.
She is, yeah.
Yeah, I noticed that love that she was getting.
So let's talk about the top four. So the top four that kind of battled it out to get to a point where they can kind of narrow down who they were fighting. So you had Ty Conti, Ruby, Nyla Rose, and then Thunder. And so you have 4 incredible people battling it out. What did you guys think of this moment when it got narrowed down to those top 4? Steph, we'll start with you.
Okay. When it was down to those 4, I was really rooting hard for Ty because I feel like even though it's like I feel like she has to be one of the most improved women's wrestlers in AEW, just because she sort of started off, in WWE and NXT, and then she grew and then she left and then she went to AEW, and just to watch her growth as a performer has just been, really awe-inspiring. And I was really sort of pushing for her because she had always been one of my favorites. And then seeing it come down to Nyla Rose, that wasn't that much of a surprise either because she's a powerhouse, right? And she's a former champion. So to see, I'm pretty sure she wanted to prove herself in that aspect. And you have Ruby, gosh, Ruby, like just seeing her debut and to see her have that moment where everybody was just excited to see her and everything, that was really cool. So, man, like just those 4, and then you have Thunder Rosa, who's just knock it out of the park every time. So with those 4, you really couldn't go wrong. You couldn't really go wrong with those 4 at all.
Yeah, I mean, I think those top 4, I think that worked really well. Santana, what did you think?
Yeah, I definitely agree. I mean, Nyla Rose, she won the Casino Battle Royal last year. So, I mean, she could have been like a 2-timer. So that could have gave her a boost as well because she already knows what to do in there.
Exactly, like she knows how to handle herself with,
as far as like Ty, whatever, I don't know. Like maybe so. I think all 4 of those women, with Ruby, I mean, it was no brainer that she would have lost. But I would have to say that I would definitely want to see her and Thunder Rosa in a 1-on-1 match because them 2 at the end, they did put on a pretty nice little match. But that match would have been really, really, really good. And I'm so happy to see Ruby, like seeing her come out and seeing her get the recognition that she knows she deserves was everything. You can see that she's happy, finally happy, and be able to be herself. And I don't want to get too misogynistic or whatever, but it plays a big part. And
I mean, Ruby was so like you could feel the happiness in the arena. I mean, there was the shock, the excitement. There was like phases. It was like shock, excitement, and then just excitement for her to be there. And then she was so excited that we just all felt it. And I have to say, after in the post media scrum, she her energy was so contagious. She came out. She was bubbly. Tony Khan could not speak even Tony Khan spoke so highly of her, and they only met that day. So he talked about how they met that day. They worked together. They figured things out, and I find that really incredible that she had that reaction. So, what did you think of Thunder Rosa and Ruby kind of battling out in the final 2? And I think that was the whole them fighting over the flying over the apron a couple times. That always makes me nervous, right? Santana, what did you think about that?
When Ruby was dangling, I was like, girl, you gonna pick them feet up?
I was like, come on.
And then Thunder was kicking her in like her side or whatever. I was like, oh Lord, she finna fall down, please. Because I seen a couple of them take some really, really interesting bumps falling off of the ropes, the ramp and whatnot. But to see it, just in it at the end, them going back and forth, it was really, really close. It could have been either or. But like I said, I knew for a fact it was going to be Ruby. It was Thunder Rosa. She's already elevated so much within AEW, and she's had her moments, but I think this one was better for Ruby.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people are saying that it's not quite time yet for Thunder Rosa to go after the AEW Women's Championship. I mean, what do you all think is next? So Ruby's now won this. She obviously will have a chance at the title. But what do you think is next for the women's division at AEW as they are trying to figure out if someone will dethrone Brit Baker?
Mm-hmm.
Stephanie, do you want to answer?
Yes, I do. In terms of Ruby, I don't necessarily feel like it's too soon for her because she had never really had that much of an opportunity at a solo title, as long as we've known her on screen. Now, I'm just going to say on screen because I know she probably has had multiple championships, before she got to WWE. So I won't speak on that because I don't know that much about it. But on screen, as long as we've known her, she's never really had that much of an opportunity to show exactly what she has to offer.
That's true. That's true.
Mm-hmm.
So now to see her get her just due, I'm not, mad at it at all because she's been working for this. And so for her to have that moment to be able to go forth and face Britt Baker is always cool to me. I felt like she deserved it.
Yeah. I think it also says that after the show, they were talking about how there's like a creative kind of freedom at AEW where she can like finally feel herself. And so that kind of might speak to that, Stephanie, is that now she feels like she has the ability to go for a singles title and really kind of know how to hold it and retain it, because it's not about just winning it. It's about retaining it, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And then I also feel that in terms of Thunder Rosa, I feel like she's sort of been a part of the AEW fabric for so long, even though she wasn't really signed to them, that a part of me felt a little disappointed when she didn't win too. So it's like I was happy, for Ruby, but then disappointed for Thunder Rosa. So I feel like maybe they'll fight, and maybe I would want them to maybe do like a triple threat. But, like a triple threat between Ruby, Thunder, and Britt Baker, just to see who comes out with that, because I feel like Thunder Rosa also deserves her moment in terms of the women's championship as well. But you just never know what could happen with that.
That's true. That would be an amazing match. Let's book it. Let's go ahead and book it.
I definitely agree with that. I think it'll be a very, very great match. To see how, Britt works against two other competitors who are trying to get that title off her. Let's see what the DMD can do.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, and this is what it's all about. I feel like this pay-per-view was like the WrestleMania, right? So like Wednesday's Dynamite. So I'm intrigued to see what happens next because we not only had these epic debuts, which we need to talk about, but we had, these matches that's going to change the women's division. Mm-hmm. And so I'm super excited. I feel like it's sky's the limit right now.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of feuds kind of develop in between that battle royal. Like we could have Jada Nyla doing at it,
right?
Let's talk about that.
They did call her out on Instagram now, so who knows what can happen between Jayla and Nyla Rose? I'm ready to see that. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we got Tay Conti, and then we got Anna Jay and Bunny and Penelope. All of them got their own little thing going on right now. So I mean, that's who's developing right there.
That's a really good point because it wasn't only the Casino Battle Royale was not only okay, let's get our number one contender who could get the title, right? Mm-hmm. But it's also creating these moments that you're like, wait a second, Penelope Ford just did that. And wait a second, Anna Jay just did that. And they don't look like they're getting along. Mm-hmm. So it's one of those things. It's like if you build all those little micro moments and people pay attention, like that is that you're building those stories and you're building that momentum because you have a whole slew of Dynamites, and now you have Dark, and you have Elevation, and you have Rampage. You have so much going on. So sky's the limit with those stories. But I appreciate you pointing that out because I noticed that too. Is that everything was thought out a little bit, where you had all those moments crafted for your enjoyment.
Definitely.
Stephanie, did you have thoughts on maybe some potential rivalry coming out of this Casino Battle Royale?
No, I basically agree with everything Santana said. Like that's the point of battle royals, is just to be able to push forth, other narratives other than who's going to be going after the title as well. So creatively, as long as they take advantage of that, then the sky's the limit there. So I definitely agree.
Yeah, awesome. Was there anyone, so I'm going to ask a question. Was there anyone you wanted to see in the Casino Battle Royale that you didn't get to see?
I thought maybe if Ruby wasn't going to be the Joker, I thought maybe would have had the Iconics come through or something and make it like a 2-for-1 special. Like a double Joker going on. I think that would have been really interesting. Or maybe Mercedes Martinez, that's pretty much what I pretty much could think of right now of who I would have liked to see.
Okay, what about you, Steph?
I don't really necessarily have a person who I would have wanted to see that wasn't particularly in it, because I'm not really as well versed in their roster in that way. But at the same time, I mean,
well, it could be anyone, because there's some people that came into it that weren't on the roster. So
true.
So it could be anyone at this point. I'm going to come out there in an outfit. I wanted to take a second and thank everyone that joined us in the chat. We have some awesome people that have been talking about the AEW pay-per-view, giving us their perspective, giving us some shout-outs. We have the Wrestling Classic. We have Nikki's perspective. We have Kenneth. Oh, I'm going to butcher your last name. Toussaint Jr. Apologies. We have Certified Hustlers that is here. We have Jamie Bruins. I'm trying to get you all, trying to look down there. But yeah, thank you all for joining Women's Wrestling Talk. We appreciate it. Is that all your Clubhouse friends?
My Clubhouse family.
Oh,
coming in to watch.
Well, that's amazing. Thank you all for joining and supporting Santana here and Women's Wrestling Talk. We're going to take a second and also thank one of our supporters, one of our sponsors. Support for Women's Wrestling Talk is brought to you by Manscaped. And if you guys have not heard about Manscaped, it is the best below-the-waist grooming and hygiene products. And so, ladies, y'all gotta listen. Listen up.
Listen
up. Hold on, I'll give you guys a graphic real quick. Listen up. Hold on. There you go. Manscaped. There you go. Manscaped, if you guys did not know, offers precision engineered tools for you and your man jewels. So again, for any woman out there, so especially those Clubhouse members, Santana, these friends are
better be listening.
You gotta listen. That if you have ever come across a hairy bush, you're now in luck, because we're gonna solve all your problems with Manscaped. The best in men's below the waist grooming you will ever see. They just launched their 4th generation trimmer. So we're gonna look at that.
4.0.
The lawnmower 4.0 is, yes, the 4.0. Make sure your man joins the 2 million men worldwide who already trust Manscaped. Come on, you guys. 2 million, not 4. It's 4.0. 2 million men and potentially women have joined this worldwide trust in Manscaped. And so, because Manscaped supports Women's Wrestling Talk, you get a special exclusive offer. Are you excited? This exclusive offer is for you. You guys get 20% off and free worldwide shipping with the code WWT. So go visit manscaped.com and get all of your grooming products like right now. Go do it right now. Support Women's Wrestling Talk and manscaped.com. All right, you guys. I didn't mean to press that. Yes, that is our sponsors, so go support them. There is no place in this podcast that I can make that work, you guys. All right. What do y'all want to talk about next? Because we had CM Punk came back, right? After 7 years. Do we want to talk about that?
Yes, please.
Yes. Let's
All right. Stephanie's like, I'm tired of talking about Manscaped. I want to talk about CM Punk.
Oh, man.
She's like, I have to deal with that enough. So let's talk about someone that is come back after 7 years, has not wrestled in 7 years. This match with Darby Allin, I have to say, was one of the highlights of my night. Darby Allin is so incredible, and CM Punk. Let's talk about this moment of having CM Punk return. What did you all feel during this moment? Stephanie, we'll start with you.
Shock. Just complete shock. Because, I mean, this was a man who years ago said that he would never come back. And then having to sort of deal with the disappointment of that and the heartbreak of that, and also being connected to a big CM Punk fan in the form of my boyfriend. We were both very disappointed, and, but we understood. So to see him and then, you saw him doing other things, so you were okay with that, as long as he was happy. But it seems like now, since he's returned to wrestling in AEW, he has just been in such a happy place. And just to see him wrestle again, and to see that he really hasn't lost that much of a, beat, it just meant the world to me. Even though it was, completely shocking when he did come back, I was just like, man, like, this is it. Like, oh my God, like, this is real. And to see him wrestle against Darby Allin, who's a fast rising star, it was just really great. I loved it.
Oh my gosh, Santana, what did you think? This match it was emotional for me, and it got me because it was very nostalgic for me. So Santana, what did you think about CM Punk and Darby Allin?
For me, I've been a fan of CM Punk for a very, very long time. As a native of Chicago, you just love your people. You just have to, rock with your people. And for him to leave wrestling in the state that he was in the way that he was feeling, and for him to come back, like Stephanie said, his aura seems different. Him taking, 7 years, that long break, and finally getting back in peace with himself mentally, physically, and spiritually, and coming back to wrestling and being happy and knowing that he has the ability to be himself and not have to worry about, being told what to do. That match with him and Darby Allin, I feel like Darby Allin was a perfect person to start out to be in that ring with CM Punk first. With Darby Allin being that rising star, he did some amazing things. Darby, he threw his body off everything. So
I know, right? I saw that picture and was like, he's flying, right? Like he always flies, right?
He does. But I just feel like it was amazing. And although he did lose, it, like the wrestling classes said, it didn't bury Darby Allin at all. It really helped elevate him, a lot more, and getting that respect from Sting and CM Punk, and him crawling to get up because his legs kind of broken in half or whatever. But other than that, I feel like that match at the end had a lot of respect. And I
have to say, yeah, like Darby Allin, like I've always loved his work, but he gained so much of my respect on Sunday because can you imagine the pressure? You have a match with CM Punk who hasn't returned in 7 years. Right. You have people, the expectations are so high. And you just, someone in the chat said, where is it? Yeah, this is it. The Wrestling Classic. Thank you. Darby is not buried. If anything, his stock was raised by even being CM Punk's first opponent in 7 years. I think that's so true. I think it shows the trust you have to have in your opponent, that you're like, okay, this is going to be the best match. This has to be your debut match back, right?
Mm-hmm.
It has to be huge because people want to cry. They want to feel what they felt when they saw you wrestle 7+ years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And that's hard to do, right? And it was like, I didn't know, there were so many moments where there was like false finishes where I wasn't sure, like Darby Allin was gonna, like Darby Allin was almost there, you know? Mm-hmm. Like he proved that he could go up against a legend like CM Punk. And that's really hard. That's hard to do. Steph, did you want to say something?
And then you could see how even when he first challenged Darby Allin, when he first did that promo, like when he first came back, you could tell, even though him and Sting were in the rafters looking down from above, you could tell there was a little bit of emotion that Darby felt with him wanting to fight him. You know, even though he was looking above, there was a moment where he kind of just looked down. He was just like, man, like, I can't believe this is it, you know, for himself. So to know, so for him to actually be able to be the first person to fight CM Punk, like he hasn't lost, he's won. Mm-hmm. And in wrestling, sometimes we have a tendency to get caught up in wins and losses, that sometimes we tend to forget that sometimes you win even in a loss. So
totally, like if it's a learning experience, if you've elevated your brand, if you've like showcased, I can go up against a champion, I can go for a title belt. Not that this match was for that, but it's on it's at a point where you're elevated so much that you can, at this point, Darby Allin can do anything. Like he could go fight anyone at this point. And I think that's what's so cool is like he showed that like, I'm like the new person on the block that can take all these legends down, maybe potentially.
He can brag about it.
And he could brag about it. He was like, I was the first one, exactly.
For the rest of his life.
For the rest of his life. Can you imagine? And like I do have to say, like, it did start. Like when you look at kind of the breakdown of the match, it started a little bit slow. It seemed a little bit more slow paced because it seemed like they were both of them were trying to figure out the best way to kind of weaken the opponent, right, in each other. So I found it interesting that it did pick up steam kind of later in the match. And then once it picked up steam, you were just like, oh my God, what's happening? And it was chaos and so much fun.
We know CM Punk didn't use all of his, iconic moves that he normally
Totally.
He was like, I'm going to get that the first match. You can use them some other time.
Yes.
Yeah, and you have to. I mean, everyone is looking for those moves. And so at first I was a little nervous. I was like, I don't know, is CM Punk going to do all these moves that we know so well? Mm-hmm. And, can you pull out all those cards on the first match you have back? And I think it met expectations, and I think it kind of gave us what we all wanted.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
So let's talk about the two other debuts that literally shook everyone to their core. Can we talk about that? So the AEW World Championship, I'm gonna recap this real quick, but you all know Kenny Omega versus Christian Cage. Kenny Omega defeated Christian Cage via pinfall to retain his title. And we were like, okay, it was like a really good match. And so again, like it was a stacked card of action, right? We had lots of things happening in this match. But there was still more action to be had. So we had Kenny Omega and the Elite attacked Cage, right? After the match, before fighting off Jurassic Express. So you had like this, like all this mayhem happening, right? And when I was watching it, I was like, I don't know what's going to happen. And I'm turning to people behind me and I'm like, oh no, this is where it's going to happen. Like and we all thought it was going to be Bryan Danielson first. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about that, right? Mm-hmm. We thought it was going to be him, but no, it was Adam Cole, baby. Okay, let's talk about that. Santana, what did you think about this moment? Because we were all shocked because everyone was rumored. It was rumored Bryan Danielson would be the one to come out. Which he did, but not the way we expected.
So for me, I was like, when I was watching it and I saw the lights go black, I was like, wait a minute. Hold on. There's more? What's happening? So then when I saw the name go, because I was like, I screamed to the top of my lungs. I was like, are you serious right now? Like, this is really happening. First of all, this is my birthday twin, Adam Cole. So now we know. So I was just like, oh man, this is crazy. Like, I was like, what? I was like, I knew his contract was up and everything, but I didn't think he was gonna move that quickly. You know what I'm saying? I think he's still a free agent. He hasn't really, I don't know if he's ready to sign or anything, but still, you know, to see him pop up there and be with the Young Bucks, who is his guys, you know, and to see that, I was like, okay, all right. And then we got Bryan Danielson with the trap version of his theme song come out. He got the
and then Bryan Danielson, yay! That big second debut.
Wait a minute, this is just too much happening at one time right now, and so
it was like overload. It was overload. So this is what happened. Like when I was there, it was like this happened, right? And then you also have like Cole turned and hit Jungle Boy with the super kick, right? Mm-hmm. So and then he's celebrating, right? And we're like, oh, that's so cool. That's like such a great, like we could end on that. Right. And then Bryan Danielson comes. But Kenny Omega made the speech, right? Mm-hmm. And the speech, there was a moment in the speech
where everybody was like,
where everyone was like,
what?
And I have to tell you, which I posted this on my Twitter, I swear to the beings above and whatever you believe in, that time stopped. That it was like a slow motion moment. I had like these people in front of me that were doing this, and then I saw like it was like a wave of people just doing yes, and then it just like it like expanded. Like I'm getting chills right now. Like this is the chills I have, and it like expanded around the arena, and then he comes out, and oh my god, I have chills, and I'm getting choked up because it was one of those moments you cannot plan. Mm-hmm. And you don't know how an audience is going to react. And it was magical. It was magical. And he comes out and then, you know, Bryan Danielson always been good on a mic, and his speech got everyone even more hyped up for what wrestling is. And I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I had to say that. So what was this? What was that? Like, Stephanie, you haven't talked. You've been quiet. What was this moment? Let's talk about those two reveals of those debuts, because it changed. That moment made everyone pay attention, and it changed the landscape of wrestling from now on.
Yeah, like for me, of course, you know, you hear the rumors and stuff, and I literally thought that maybe it was just going to be Bryan Danielson, because, of course, you know, I know earlier in the week, I think, or maybe last week, CM Punk was talking about, you know, you got to give him a little bit more time because they started a yes chant or something. Mm-hmm. So you're just, you know, waiting, you know, for him to come out. But for it to go black and then Adam Cole to come out, I was just like, like I was just like, oh my god, no,
yeah,
that was definitely me.
For me.
And like, it is the biggest shift in storyline. It's the biggest shift. Like, if you're talking about factions and you're talking about alliances and you're talking about the next level of AEW wrestling, it is this right here. And it proved that this is going to be epic. It's going to be the best. Like, in the next 6 months, it is going to be so much fun. So tomorrow, I can't wait for Dynamite, because I'm going to be live tweeting, you guys. I'm going to be live tweeting Dynamite on Women's Wrestling Talk channel. So you got to go check it out, because this is going to be the show after the big show, right? Mm-hmm. Where we don't know what's going to happen. Maybe there's more debuts. I don't know.
Who knows?
Right. And then just seeing Daniel Bryan, you know, come too, that was cool too. So I was just like, man, like this is like, because usually with me and AEW, I'm usually like off and on depending on what's going on in my life and all of that. But now it's to the point now where it's just like, you know what? There's no more off and on. I gotta watch this. Mm-hmm. I gotta watch this now.
Exactly. Like, there's no denying it after Sunday that everyone should be watching AEW. I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna say it. So yeah, it was a really emotional night. We had lots of moments that I know many people will remember. If you all have not watched the media scrum from post show on Sunday, we have some highlights and clips on Women's Wrestling Talk YouTube. If you have not subscribed to us, please do that. We're all over social media. Is there anything else, ladies, that you all felt about this pay-per-view or wanted to chat about? Because there were so many matches, but any overall thoughts?
I know that as far as like, overall, as far as the pay-per-view, it was really good. Like I said, I watched it twice. And I still got chills just watching the part with Adam Cole and Daniel Bryan come out. It happened all over again. But I know that on Twitter there was a lot of back and forth going on as far as like the diversity in AEW, the lack of showcasing Black wrestlers. And it became a very, very big issue on social media where there were fans getting into it and whatnot, back and forth. And it's like, I feel like we've had conversations like this before, where, we want to be it's not the fact that we want to be included. It's the fact that we want to be represented in a way where it's relatable to us. Not that you got to put us in some type of street gimmick, because that's not what all Black people are. We're not all from the streets or anything like that. Some of us went to school. Some of us have education. Some of us have jobs and all that stuff. But it's just some effect of just showcasing if you want to be about representation, show it. Don't show it just because people are talking about it. Show it because you want to. Because you have fans in the audience who look like the wrestlers who we sometimes see. You have a lot of black fans who watch wrestling AEW, and we don't see a lot of us, and we don't want you to start trying to show a lot of us because we're making noise, because it's gonna make it seem like, okay, you do it right now, you're gonna try to get to shut up, you're gonna put a slap on the wound, and it shouldn't be like that. Showcase us the same way you showcase everybody else, and then it won't be such a big issue. Some people may think it's overreacting, but it's about respect. And if you have fans who is like us, who's spending our money coming to watch you, taking the time out there to watch your company, your TV shows, your pay-per-views or whatever, give us some representation too, so that we feel like, hey, that person looked just like me. I can go down the street and I can go to the store and see that same person. They look just like me. And I feel like, okay, I know that I'm welcome over here.
I definitely echo Santana's statement. I saw a lot of it on Twitter between Sunday night and last night, even as Raw was on, even on my page, on the Hardy Wrestling Podcast Twitter page. Out of all of the things that a lot of people talk about, with Monday Night Raw, something that I did see that was a difference in Monday Night Raw and AEW was the fact that you saw more diversity on their end, in their tag team turmoil match, than you saw in all of AEW's All Out. And once I made that point, it was a lot of people who were coming at me saying, "Oh, well, that's not true, and I'm Black, and I didn't feel that way. I enjoyed all that. Why you got to play the race card, all that." And for me, it seems that AEW started on, the principle that they were going to do more in terms of diversity, because when they were first starting, they were doing articles and interviews. They had people like Awesome Kong and people like Nyla Rose and Brandy Rhodes in those interviews. And they said that was something that they were going to do more of, because, it has been an issue in wrestling for years. But the further that AEW has gotten, you have signed and brought all these talented people from the independents on your shows and even on the YouTube shows, but they're not really featured as prominently as your Kenny Omegas or as your Young Bucks or as your Miros. And when we make mention of that, we're not saying that the quality of your programming is bad. We just want to see more of us reflected in it, because that's just what the world looks like. Everything should reflect what the world looks like on television. Like on TV, the world, it should be about what we see. And if we want to see more of us, then we should have the right to address that and actually say that. And if you've put that out there, that that's what you want to do, then actually do it. So yeah, And a lot of people tonight were even watching AEW Dark Elevation, with the intent of supporting Black wrestlers like Big Swole, who participated in that 3 strikes match with Diamante. And we are going to keep making noise until change is made. So that's all.
That is all. It's all well said, and yeah, you all make very valid points. We support you. The chat supports you, and I think it is an ongoing issue that we all need to address in whatever, like what the chat said, in every promotion and in every not just in wrestling as well. So everywhere. Thank you all so much for joining the AEW All Out review show for Women's Wrestling Talk. Did you all have fun?
Yeah, we had a good time.
Stephanie, where can people find you?
Well, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Queen Steph Hardy. And you can follow my show, the Hardy Wrestling Podcast, at Hardy Wrestling Podcast on Instagram and at Hardy Wrestle Pod on Twitter.
And Santana, where can people find you?
On Instagram at Santana Muse and on Twitter at Driune, Driune. And everything on Instagram and Twitter, you pretty much can find everywhere else.
Sounds good. Yeah, everyone go follow them. They have amazing, they're working on some amazing things. I'm Emily May Heller. If you want to follow me on all social platforms, I'm on the same handle everywhere. Easy to find. Thank you all so much. Remember to follow Women's Wrestling Talk on all of our social platforms. Remember, we're on Fight TV on Wednesday. And we have a website, www.talkpod.com, if you want to learn about all of our hosts, our shows, and just keep up to date on all of the content coming out. Thank you again so much for watching our Women's Wrestling Talk recap show, the #1 women's wrestling talk show on the planet. Thank you all so much, ladies, for joining me. And until next time, see you later.